Hello and welcome to another episode of Ghetto Watchfinder. First, let's have a little Grand Marnier because we're classy assholes. This is better on crêpe Suzette. Or crêpe Suzette, if you know what the difference is. Anyway, today I want to talk about a watch that is very classy and elegant looking. It's not a replica. It's, a genuine HMT. Now, wow, my camera is focusing. What the fuck is going on here? Well, okay, almost sort of focusing. Now, I'm not usually a fan of these three-letter acronyms because oftentimes it's bullshit. Like IWC, International Watch Company. I mean, that's not a really, it doesn't have a ring to it like Audemars Piguet, which is, the guy Audemars and the guy Piguet getting together to make watches. IWC is a bunch of businessmen making watches because there's money in it. At least that's what the name says to me. So I'm not a big fan of this. And what does HMT mean? Well, HMT means Hindustan Machine Tooling. So as you may have guessed, that means this watch is from India. Now, Hindustan Machine Tooling was, until a few years ago, actually a huge company. They make, as the name suggests, machine tooling. So in other words, the tools that other companies use to make their stuff. They also produced a line of tractors for farmers. And in the late 50s, they got together with Citizen of Japan and set up watch manufacturing in India. Citizen actually helped them out a lot. They even gave them one of their movements, which HMT then produced under license. So they produced a line of mechanical hand-winding watches starting in the early 1960s, and the first model was called the Janata. This is, of course, a vintage piece. This is from the late 60s, early 70s. The dial is refinished, but you can see that the look is quite nice. It's an elegant watch. It does have a domed acrylic crystal. You can see that the numbers are kind of like what you see on a Glashütte Senator. And I also like the offset printing here. Like it's not balanced this way, but that way. I like that. It's unusual. It is, of course, a refinished dial, and there's a problem. You can see that the 3 doesn't line up with the stem. Nonetheless, this is a mechanical watch. It comes with a genuine leather strap. There's nothing wrong with it. It's very thin because it's, and, the dial isn't quite straight, but that's really the only slight issue. And you can fix this, of course, easily. Now, how much would you pay if this were a Seiko or a Citizen from the 1960s or 70s? You would probably expect to pay between $50 and $100. And like I said, this basically has a Citizen movement in it. But this didn't cost $50. Actually, I'm going to show you the movement. Already loosened this up a bit. It does say shockproof stainless steel, water dust protected. I guess there's a lot of water dust in India. So you open this up. First of all, you notice that there's a metal spacer ring. The movement is smaller than the case, so they put a spacer ring inside. On many modern watches, that is plastic. Here it is metal. And you can see the movement there ticking away. Let's see if my stupid camera, it did it before, and now of course it's not going to focus all that well. Okay, so HMT called this the 0-2-0 movement. It's actually simply a Citizen 0-2 001. That's what Citizen called it. It's an 18,000 beats per hour movement. That means it ticks 5 times per second. And it has a 42-hour power reserve. And when you consider that this thing is at least 50 years old, it looks amazing, doesn't it? Of course, you can say, well, this has been serviced, right? But again, I didn't pay $50 for this. So I doubt very much that anything has been done other than, quickly reprinting the dial. And now that you've seen this, oh, and by the way, this is 34 millimeters. I'm not sure you can see this, but my wrist is 7.75 inches. So it does look a bit smallish on my wrist. But now that you've seen this, I'll show you the other HMT that I bought. So this model actually, let me just move this fucker out of the way. This model also has a reprinted dial, which is on straight. I just noticed there's some dirt on it. Oh my lord. Alright, sorry about that. So this one is on straight. Unlike the other model, this one has applied markers. So they're not printed on, they really are applied. And they're applied quite nicely and where they're supposed to be. Looking straight. They probably could have put a double marker at the 12, but whatever. Overall, the aesthetic kind of reminds me of a Rolex of the same vintage, 1950s, 60s, 70s, where you had a smaller case size, again, 34 millimeters. You had an acrylic crystal, and you had a low beat mechanical movement. The blue is really very, very nice. You can see that it's very deep. And look at the edges. And it's not a sunburst effect, but it really does change. I mean, the first time I saw the pictures, I thought it was black. And it does look kind of black. You see, it's black now. And then it just kind of goes back to blue. It came with a blue fabric strap, and you can see that the case back is different from the other watch. It has the word NGEF on it, NGEF. And overall the shape is identical to the other one, except that here for some reason the holes for the spring bars are drilled, and on the other one they're not. Now they're both the same size, 34 millimeters, but you can see that this one looks smaller because the light absorbs on the dark color dial. And then on this one, it looks bigger because the light reflects. So if you have larger wrists like me and you want one of these, you might want to go with the lighter one because it looks bigger. Personally, I still prefer this one because of the color, but this one just looks bigger, even though they're the same. Now, you do want to know how much I paid for this. If you've been on eBay and you look at watches, then you know what you can expect to pay for these. I paid a grand total of $37 for both of these. Oh, and that's not actually 37 American dollars. That's 37 Canadian dollars, which is about 26 American dollars, and the shipping was included. So I got myself 2 mechanical wristwatches with vintage design, beautiful curved acrylic, very thin, very light, very comfortable to wear, for the price of one blowjob from a truck stop crack whore. So definitely a good investment if you ask me. Join me again next time on Ghetto Watchfinder.